Now, for more on this development, I'm joined by former Attorney General of Kwara State and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jawondo. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening. What do you make, really, of this interim injunction, and how is it to be implemented? Senior Advocate, please unmute yourself.
Hello?
I can hear you now. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, for now, the interim injunction, that is the order given, remains the order of the court. And the person recognized by that order remains the Speaker of the House of Assembly. That is the position of the law as at now. Whether or not the order was procured or not is irrelevant for now.
But, you know, some judges seem to see this differently in the past years. They say the law with respect to interim injunction kind of constitutes one of the most difficult sections of our law, particularly when you see how conflicting exparte orders have, you know, one way or the other ridiculed the Nigerian judiciary in the past. What's your thought on this?
Well, you see, the exparte order, via exparte motion still remains part of our law. However objectionable it may be to some people, it's still part of our law, and it is intended to take care of situation of urgency, wherein the other party need not be put on notice before the plaintiff or the person who approaches the court is heard. It's still part of our law. But the use to which it is made, that is ex parte order, is a different thing, is a different ballgame. Yes, of recent, there have been conflicting, especially ex parte orders from courts. But in this situation we have now C1 order, no conflicting order yet. And every legal practitioner and the entire justice sector frowns at that attitude of conflicting. It is that some of our judges have been disciplined, so that the NJC had advised and warned judges to sparingly grant ex parte order, but there is no prohibition against grant of ex parte order by a court. So it depends on the fact presented before the judge that will now determine whether to grant or to refuse an ex parte application. And don't also forget that an ex parte application lasts for a maximum of 14 days, 7 days, and then another extension of 7 days. 2, 3, that's one. Then 2 is that the respondent who is affected by that order also has the right to apply to the court to set aside that order ex parte on serious ground. For example, misrepresentation, material that is not giving undertaking, for example. But from the tenor of the order, which I heard from your review of the situation, is that they got that order on an undertaking of 50 million naira in case the application of the entitlement is found to be frivolous. That is one of the cogent requirements of ex parte order. So, for now, that is the position of the law. The judge has granted the ex parte order, and the ex parte order subsists until there is a counter order, either from the judge or from a superior court. But I will not expect that any judge will still dabble into granting counter ex parte order or any order in a situation of this nature.
The APC has reacted, and we're going to explore the details of that reaction shortly. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, please stand by. We'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear
Thanks for staying with us. I'm talking with former Attorney General of Kwara State, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Simon Jawondo, on the latest developments in Rivers State. Thank you for staying the course on the program. Let's quickly talk about the politics of things. So I discussed with a member of the House of Assembly yesterday who categorically mentioned that they will stall any request from the government in the area of finance because they have not been funded themselves. Now, the situation or the possibility is that the 2024 budget of the state governor might be passed in the next week. How is that? How do you interpret this latest development as regards politics in Rivers?
Well, let me say that we have been following the development in Rivers State with keen interest. And everything that is happening is about politics of control of the state. So if it is about allowing the governor to present the budget to the House of Assembly, it is still part of politics. Those who defected, the governor could also interpret it to be to prevent him from presenting the budget. That is still politics. So it's a game of wit. And it's quite unfortunate that our democracy is being taken for granted in this political game. It's quite unfortunate. And that is the more reason why people have been advocating for independent House of Assembly. Our houses of assembly in Nigeria are not independent of the executive. And that is why we are witnessing, or do I say external interference? Because it is a game of struggle between father and the godfather and the godson in the politics of River State. So it is all about politics. The issue now, and when politics takes center stage in a situation like this, the law goes back. The only thing the camps will use is to use the law to cover up their act of illegality and politics. And that is exactly what is happening in River State. So the governor, from the angle of the APC, the governor is struggling to make sure that he's able to present the 2024 budget. The other people are trying to prevent him. So it is a game of politics.
What options would you say are there now for the 27 lawmakers? You mentioned setting aside an interim order. Is there any legal option for them to explore at this time?
The legal option they have is to apply to the court if they believe that that order was not properly and validly granted, to have it set aside, or they file papers to oppose the interlocutory application, that is application for interlocutory injunction. Or even they can even oppose the suit on so many grounds if they feel that the court does not have jurisdiction to entertain the matter for whatever reason. So they have so many options to go as far as this case is concerned. But the political aspect of it is that from the way it is now, the governor appears to, unfortunately, it is not a question of whether there's a quorum or no quorum now, because what they are doing now is politics. And we have experienced that in Edo State. So that should have taught the politicians some lessons that even minority, absolute minority of the state can sit and approve budget and even do some other things. It has happened in Edo State. So I thought that when they started this game, they would have taken Edo as an example. Because as of today, the 27 members that have defected to APC from PDP, they have taken serious risks, especially with the court order. Now that the other side is harmed with court order, then they can invoke the provisions of Section 109G of the Constitution and declare their seat vacant. The next is to write to INEC that 27 members have defected and their seats have been declared vacant. So that's why I said it is a very dangerous game they are playing.
What about that section of the law that speaks to your ability to defect if you can prove division within your party? The lawmakers have alluded to the challenge with the position of the national secretary within the PDP.
National secretary of PDP?
Exactly.
That is not the division. How many national secretaries do you have in PDP?
I'm saying the reason why the lawmakers, the reason they have given for their defection has been.
He's the acting national secretary. That's not the division in the party.
I can hardly hear you, but if you can hear me, senior advocate,
decisions of court.
Let us explore the implication of this order. It means, therefore, that in the next 9 days, according to the Federal High Court in Rivers State, 4 is greater than 27, and it's now acknowledged these 4 lawmakers, as substantive members of that house. You were talking about interim orders being backed by law. When the orders like this, are you concerned that orders like this give the perception that both parties can use the court to advance their causes at will?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Which I have said that the politics they are playing, it's antithetical to democracy and constitution. But the unfortunate thing in Nigeria is that when they play their politics, they don't bother about what the constitution says. What they do is that after playing their politics, they go to court to back it up with the order of the court. And that's exactly what is playing out. Now the 4 members, everybody knows, every reasonable person knows that 4 can never be equal to 27 or even not talk less of being greater. But we have seen it in Nigeria, and it has happened in Nigeria. And it will continue to happen as long as politicians refuse to abide by the rules of the game. As long as our politicians are not ready to play the rules of the game according to the Constitution and the statutes. So now, whether rightly or wrongly, 4 members now constitute the House of Assembly of Rivers State. The issue of majority-minority is a constitutional issue, and that will only be sorted out in court of law. So for now, those who have defected, the 4 people who have now the injunction in their favor can take appropriate action to deal with them under the Constitution. That's the irony of it all. All of them will go back to the Constitution after committing or carried out all their illegalities, once any of them is able to secure a court order. So what they do is that they use court to cover up whatever they have as political plans.
Is it an helpless situation, senior advocate? I'm wondering what the role of the judiciary is when the legislature is at loggerheads with the executive. Some have said, why not expedite action on the case instead of giving an interim order and now giving, 50 million naira damages if the application turns out to be frivolous? Is 50 million naira, as valuable as having things watching out, a potential injustice in a period of 9 days?
Well, that's one of the ironies of the situation. Yes, the court can expedite the hearing of the matter. That is an option. The court can also as well grant injunction, just like the court had done in this case. It is also an option. So it depends on who is involved. It depends on who is the judge. It also depends on the nature of the case presented before the judge. Don't forget, this is what they call exparte. The other parties have not presented their own position. So the judge cannot, on his own, begin to argue for the other party, although he has a discretion whether to grant or not to grant ex parte application or any application seeking the discretion of the court for that matter. But in this case, it's a question that is for the judge to determine, not even any of the parties. So whether there is injustice or whether the surest way or the best way is to establish action, these are options. These are part of the options that are available in a situation of this nature. And don't forget, like I said, the politicians, they know how to play their game. All these things we are seeing are end products of planning and planning and planning by politicians.
Just for clarity, senior advocate, you're saying that every stakeholder in Rivers State must now align with the position of the court as it is currently, right?
That is the position. That's the position now for in law. That is the order of the court.
There have been concerns about how the police responds in cases like this. You saw that one of the orders, stated clearly that both parties should stop the use of thugs, being aided by the police to gain access into the State House of Assembly complex. Who intimates the police as to what to do? Because when you look at the parties in this case, I can hardly find the police, being copied.
You see, that's one of the problems we have when politics takes center stage instead of law. Now, like you have said, who is going to enforce this order that the police to ensure that the parties do not use thugs? Will the police be having meetings with them, or who will carry out that order? Will they be there? Will the police be there when politicians will be meeting with their thugs and deploying them? So these are very critical, almost impossible, very difficult, if not impossible situations that are being fostered on the court. Because in the first instance, you don't carry politics to court. But now they have taken politics to court. Because this issue of controlling thugs, you do it, don't do this. Who is to be allowed or who is to be obeyed by the police? I don't also forget that the police hierarchy, the hierarchy of the police is being controlled by APC in Nigeria today. So that is another angle of politics coming to the matter. So you can see that it's a very complex situation.
All right.
Unnecessary for that matter.
We have to go now, but I quickly want to get your opinion on this. How valid is the APC position alleging that the judge in this case is a relative of an official of the River State government?
Well, I think the APC is just doing its own job. That is a political party that has benefited from the crisis. So naturally, it is expected to defend what the defectors have done. The allegation that the judge is a brother of a top government officer of River State is part of politics. If you are not a brother of if another judge are granted, they would have still
We may have lost connection with the former Attorney General of Kwara State and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Simon Jawondo. But we say a big thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on the program this evening. That's Beyond 100 Days. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.